Hello, hello, hello. Good morning.
Yeah, we are now into our 16th hour.
16th hour.
16th hour. So we're at least past the hump, the middle way. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Adventure Theater's 30-hour Stream-a-thon. We are in our 16th hour. Please make sure if you have woken up with us, awoke with us.
Awoken.
Awake. I don't. Clearly, it's not. This is going to be. We're heading into train wreck mode. But please text adventure to 56651. That's 56651. Please text adventure to 56651 to make a donation. And thank you, Leon, for jumping in with us this morning. But as soon as we get Jihye and Haejung and Soovin, it'll be the four of us having an amazing discussion with the what I consider like the new wave of really amazing writers in Korea happening right now. So I just want to welcome these amazing writers, dramaturgs, and playwrights who are part of the South Korean musical theater and play scene that's happening right now. And it's just remarkable that's what's happening there. They also have this what they call Korean Broadway, which does really, really well. So it's like it's funny because it is very much like the DMV in that this development that has come out of the Seoul play and theater development process has been like remarkable. Like it's exponentially grown with lots of caveats and pits and falls, which is what we'll discuss. So again, thank you all for joining us. And let's. Is there any?
I'll see you later. I'm gonna go get dressed now.
Great.
I can get out of my pajamas.
Do you have any updates for us for anything for donors?
No, we're just past $83,000. So we're $17,000 to go. If you get, as Chil said, text adventure to 56651. I think if we can get a whole bunch of small donations or individuals to make a donation this hour, we're going to kickstart the day. I'm already seeing everyone in the gymnasium downstairs starting to arrive for their workout. So maybe the world's starting to wake up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Leon.
I'll see you in a bit.
See you later. Yay.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for joining me in this late hour for y'all. It's prime time, right? It's 8 o'clock over there in Korea.
It's prime time. It's a show time for us.
Showtime. This is curtain. This is we're talking about. We're opening curtain right now. I don't know why.
Why are you eating Kim? Why are you eating me?
All I can think is like. Because I ran over in the middle of our break to go grab a snack, and I was like, I got to eat something. But so I got a couple of salty things, I realized.
And you have, and of all of the snacks, you have seaweed.
Come on.
All right. I mean, it's just okay.
I don't know why, but maybe the Korean in me was singing the songs of Kim.
The song of seaweed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, totally.
I love how you all are so game when I know that I am not gonna make any sense this hour and a half that we're together. So thank you. I want to introduce everyone, but if you all can actually introduce yourselves, in part, like Jihye was the one that actually helped us put this all together. Jihye was someone that we found through our dramaturgical research process to find out somebody who can help me with a play that I was working on here at Adventure. And Jihye was literally just kind of like thrown to us. So she became a godsend who was really great in understanding the research that I needed for that piece. So thank you, Jihye, for joining us. I'm going to throw it to you and then throw somebody else. Just introduce yourselves and say hi to everyone. Again, this is Adventure Theater's 30-hour Stream-a-thon. We're in our 16th hour. So hello, everyone out there. Good morning to us on East Coast time. people are still not awake in Los Angeles time, but we are in prime time in Korea. So Jihye?
Hello from Seoul. This is Jihye, and I'm a dramaturg specialized in new play development, based in Seoul and LA, and everywhere now virtually. And I'm tossing the mic to Soovin.
Yeah, hi, Al. Seoul, full-time mom. Been translating for like shows in Korea here in Seoul, translating overseas shows here into Korea, and also made a documentary of my life. Like I did that 3 or 4 years ago, and currently working on my own musical theater piece, but due to COVID-19, it's been postponed, but still having fun. And then I'll toss the mic to Haejung.
Hi, I'm Haejung. I'm a playwright in South Korea, and I'm also working in the college these days, like doing lectures. Yeah. Also like working. What is that? Like, I don't know in English, but like street theater, like street art. Like, yeah, we are making the street art of the COVID-19 these days, like
Street art, street theater.
Street theater, yeah, more like street theater, yeah.
So here's something interesting that I didn't understand until we had our discussion with Haejung, is that playwrights, including playwrights who localize, because because I know people who translate and localize to another country, they actually have the rights to that work. But that's not true in Korea. Is that right?
Actually, well, go ahead, Jie. I mean, you should go first. Yeah. Well, just because I could only talk about what I know for the musical theater industry, and yes, for the theater scene, yes, I mean for the play scene, I translated a couple of plays, and that yes, you do get to, you're subject for royalty once you translate this piece. So, like plays, musical theaters, it's all the same because you could translate it and like you can localize it in many different ways. So it's not much. It's not this crazy Broadway size royalty. It's not that at all. But you do get some amount of a royalty once you translate something here in Korea. Yeah, that's true. I can confirm that.
Yeah, but are you protected?
In a way, I don't. Well, protected in like, how would you say protected? I don't know, like how different it is in the States and here. Like,
well, it's the like there are, like 5 or 6 different well-known versions of Helena. One of the plays, the Greek plays, right? But the person who did the translations and did the localization to English, they're treated as a separate playwright who owns the rights to that play and with their idea and their treatment of the play. So it's not just that they get royalties off of that, is that they're also put in a different kind of mold. And when I was talking to Haejung for new plays, correct, that there aren't protections for new playwrights? Copyright?
So maybe I should just give some examples. So I think the Copyright Act of like 1976 is what we're referring, which is in U.S. Like whenever plays are being put, no one has a right to cut a line from the original script that is copyrighted without the permission of the playwright. And which working in theater industry in Seoul, I've also encountered some occasion where a director was editing the script that she or he didn't write and has an authority to decide what to be on stage or not. And all I understood is like there's no copyright law, copyright act that is the same equivalent copyright act of the 1976 in Seoul that protects the entire like text of the play or any of the performing literature to the writer. So Haejung, maybe you can speak a little bit about that. I mean, this is all of a sudden like hard matter. We're just like again.
Yeah, I'm going at it. I'm going at it because
Yeah.
that actually because just reading that up and I did a little research too. It's like I actually got upset for playwrights in Korea because they actually the ownership of the material is really on the producers, and the producers have a lot of power over the material.
Right,
which
that's
a lot
true.
of times the director can cut or move or decide whatever they want and take the words of a playwright. And so it is, oddly enough, it's closer to what they do in the film, but they still pay for the rights. They buy that. And it's not quite the same in Korea. So I was curious about that.
Wow, like hearing what Jihye just said, it's like, as far as what I've experienced, like if you're working with musical theater and you have to change, especially in the process, and these are not like ancient Greek plays or these are not more classical materials, but these are like more how do you say it, new stuff, right? Relative compared to the older, more classical pieces. What I do is I translate for theater that is happening right now that's like built like 1 or 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Of course I do like older pieces like let's say Sweeney Todd or something like that, but you change stuff all the time. How do I say, you have to change, you have to make changes, you have to work it with the audience. If it doesn't work, you just have to find something that works. And how we work with that and how we communicate with the original writers, we make something called a back translation, and we sent it back to as I said, we sent it back to the original writers, and once they confirm it, we carry on. But sometimes things happen just so fast. It just happens so fast that sometimes we just have to send the bulk of it to them and say, we've made these changes. What do you think about this? And luckily, at least for what I have experienced, a lot of times they are very understanding, and they respect the culture, and they understand that there has to be localizing and changes made in this circumstance. So, but about the rights, if you think about the rights itself, I haven't thought about it like how Jihye just approached it. Is there a put down in a paper law? I don't think we kind of have that though.
No,
Yeah, nah.
Which becomes really difficult for the playwrights to, to build on their career and have the ownership of their own work, and how to like publish that. When do you stop writing or drafting your play, and who decides that, right? And what if the play that you have written, the version that you have poured your heart, is different from the one that audience will get to see because of the conflict?
Right. I mean, yes,
have
of
between,
course.
the power structure of where the money comes from, who decides
right.
stage. And that is the sort of like plays some role in this sort of like the structure. And it's I've only experienced as a dramaturg that happened, that sort of really intricate relationship between like people disagreeing on what scene feels more real. And then usually playwright gets a pressure to change the ending, which is like ending is everything. It's a finale. It's like the image the audience brings back to their real life. And the question itself gets modified. And sometimes a character gets cut, which is really huge, or sometimes a really big monologue gets cut. And that is suggested by a director or a producer, et cetera, to the playwright, not as a suggestion of kind of, hey, would you be interested in anything like that, but more of a kind of like, I think your script will be better if we cut A, B, C, if we do A, B, C, which is a little different language that I was kind of like, oh my God. And of course, I know nothing about, yeah.
Or what it felt like to me was, I'm going to change it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
no, it's my play, but no, but it feels like to me too is like it is a cultural thing where money and the producing entities have so much more power anyway. But The difference is I think what's interesting is like those musicals, because they're brought over with living playwrights, with living composers.
Right.
They're there. They can approve or not approve, but the process still has to exist. They still have to approve it.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. While with a playwright that is from Korea, they don't necessarily have to. Once they say, "Hey, thank you for giving us the play," it's like, go over there. Is what it feels like.
Go over there.
Right. It's like, just sit over there. We'll take care of it. You know what I mean? So it is that a pervasive thing that happens? Like I'm just curious.
Maybe
for my
Haejung-
experience.
Oh
yeah.
Go
I
for it,
mean,
go for it. Yeah.
sorry. Like I just wanted to. I saw productions where the writer is kind of like, okay, go stay in the corner, or sometimes the writer is really actively just always there. She's always here. He's always there, sitting there, and every time someone tries to make a line change, she or he has to approve it. And I just remember, even for me as a translator, as a localizer, I stay there all the time for the bulk of the time, because if someone tries to change something, I say, no, you can't do that, or you're going to do this, I'm going to talk with writers, or we have to sort this out before you randomly make changes. And you just have that power structure that is there. But what I say is, anyone who's not in the rehearsals becomes the sinner, because that
Right.
person,
That is so true.
once you're not there, you're like, okay, she's not here. We'll just change it and we'll tell her later. That happens, and then
That happens.
whether you're a writer, whether you're a director, of course the director is always there, but whether you're if you have some kind of creative license that you want to exercise, if you want to exercise your power, you just have to be in the rehearsals and you have to just sit there. I mean, I guess some writers that I saw here in Korea who don't translate, but who creates his or her pieces, they just sit there and they just work with the director. I guess that's my experience. So if you ask if it's pervasive, I think for me, I could say it's case by case, but I mean, yeah, that's just me. So I don't know how Haejung or Jihye, what you guys experienced.
Haejung, do you want to speak about that?
So I was thinking about my first production that 7 years ago, that when I met the director, like that was very first year that I started my theater career. I got the prize from some awards, and then like he said, like, I don't like your writing, but like I want to use the stage of the some place, like, because I got the prize from that place, the theater. And then like he told me, like, in the theater, I don't know what you did before, but in the theater industry, like, writing is just a part of, or like say, just part of. In the theater industry, writing is just like part of it. Like, it's not like, it's like there is actor, director, writers, like, so like you cannot say what you want, like, and then like there's also so much possibilities, like changing lines and everything. Like, if the actors are not comfortable, like, then we have to change it, So like I was really, really shocked, but I was really young, and then I don't know what to do. I just wanted that my play goes to the stage, So that's my first impression of the theater industry. And then after that time, I met so many people from theater industry in South Korea, but like they got a lot of experience here. But they also said, like, writing is just like a part of it, like, you cannot do what just you cannot just do like what you want, like,
Yeah, I don't disagree with that in this way, because I agree writing is all a part of it, but it's still a foundational part of it.
Yeah.
And so when I hear these stories where I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. That someone actually said to you, "I don't like your writing," but you won the award, which is like, what is really? But that is not very different than a lot of these ego-driven companies in the United States, where these artistic directors, rather than support creativity, would rather diminish it so that they can take over and then put their stamp on it. And it's because they're mediocre. do you
Mediocre, like,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and Haejung, it's mediocre and mediocrity tend to take down people rather than raise them up, because what they rather do is push everything down below them, so that they can feel like they rise above. And so when I even see that environment, my first reaction is, oh, you're a terrible artistic director, or you're a terrible director. That's why you're doing that. When you start beating people down, it's because you're not good, so that you want to push everything down so that you will always look better. So it's not that different. My only question is then, I guess, because what I understand here, there's such a divergence in experiences with Soovin and Haejung, that is it. There's an ingrained structure, right? So that when we talk about it's just part of the process, what is the major difference? Because I don't know how many of you had a chance to work in US. I believe all of you have, right? Have some kind of dealings with US and US artists, right? What do you feel like is the major difference in the way writers are supported in the US than in Korea?
I don't know. Like, can Haejung say for this?
Yeah.
Nah.
Haejung, you want to speak first?
I would say I don't know much about like industry in America, but like I would say like dignity.
Dignity. Wow.
Yeah, like I had the American teacher in university. Like he told me the first time, like you cannot change any. The director cannot change any of your lines of writing. You know, like it's not like I wrote every. It's not like I was doing like, okay, I'm writing I was writing masterpiece, so you cannot change anything. Like I didn't say those kind of things to the actor or directors, like, but I want to keep my own views. Like when I post my script to the actor and directors, like I want them to keep it as well. But like you can see like there are many writers like are suffered a lot. Like they ruin it, like because of the stage, because of the culture, because of the they want to sell the tickets. So like the first time I met the American teacher, like in the university, he's the person, like he told us like it's not okay. It's like somebody changes your lines, like, you know. So
yeah,
that's huge part different.
Soovin?
Well, I can't say exactly because I don't know enough the difference between the American writer industry and here, but I guess interestingly enough, I was more on the side to collect ideas and make something out of them. Like I make a set of translations, or I write something. Like translations often require a lot of rewriting. So it's not just translating A into A. It's like, oh, get the idea from this section, restructure it, and make some new lines and make it work in our culture. It's that. And then you have to rewrite a lot of stuff. And when you're walking into it, you kind of think that you think that you know what you're doing, and if there's 10 lines here, okay, let's make 10 lines here, let's make it as close as possible, but then sometimes it doesn't work, so maybe it's 12 or 13 lines to make, I don't know, a joke land or make a concept land, and you have to do all these you have to make these rearrangements, and then once you think you're all set and you send this to the original writers and you say, we're going to work with this, but I also say, but it's going to change. It is going to change. I always say that. And because I've been translated, I think, over 20 shows now, like just the ones that actually got on stage. And every time we did it, every time there were so many changes. But the thing is, here, I think these are the differences. When we have overseas staff coming into Korea, like the director, the choreographer, or the music director, they come and say, this line is this, so the essence is this, and the idea is this, so how do we deliver this idea? And once we are settled with that, once we've communicated with that, and then we start to think about, do we need 2 lines or 3 lines? How do we land this certain concept? And then, you together reconstruct it there. But for me, till the day we open, and even after opening, if it doesn't work, we change it again and again and again. So, and also shows like original shows here, not just translated shows. I guess I'm on the side for more like, how do I say it? Used to changes. If somebody says something, and everyone wants to say something when you're creating something, right? Everyone wants to say, this is good, this is bad, it'll be better if you do this, if you better do that. And I think for me, that's sort of a period, like you just have to let it happen for a while. You just let it all happen. And people say, let's cut this, let's cut that. And then, okay, try it out, let's do it. And you try it all out. And at the end of the day, once you hold on to the gist or the essence of the idea, people kind of, figure out, sometimes they figure it on their own that it's not going to work this way. So we come back to the original material. Sometimes we find something really much more interesting through like collaborative intellectual processes. Is that the right word? Anyway, so, and especially for me, writing my new piece for the last 5 years, I think I wouldn't have been able to do it have done it with the people that actually helped me, the writer, even the producer. I mean, everyone around me gave me more ideas, and I don't know, sometimes I had to fight, of course, you're always fighting, but I guess what I'm trying to say is changes and making the changes, and just figuring out what the right changes are. That's been part of the whole my whole career, I guess, because everything changes all the time, and then you just have to figure it out if it's a right change or a wrong change. And sometimes you just have to let it happen for a while until people come back to the original thing, to the actual gist. So all the disrespect and all the what Haejung's gone through, and the director being really mean and changing without me, those kind of things I've also experienced. That's like being really disrespectful. I mean, so that's why I say when you're not in the rehearsal hall, you become the sinner, because they change it when you're not there actually. And then you go there and like, hey, why is this and like, and then the assistant director comes up to me and say, oh, the director changed it. And that's where the disrespect and the anger comes, because I think changing stuff, it's fine. Things can always change. But the whole process of, talking it through it with the director and the attitude of collaboration, I think that's more important for me. Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing is that there's not necessarily a legal protection that is guaranteed that every change has to get the consent of the original playwright or the person who wrote the script. So it becomes kind of like constant negotiation between the writer.
Yes.
Like you have to like fight, you have to persuade, you have to like basically sell your idea. And that, like, I think for certain people, that sort of like a process of negotiating can really bog down.
Sure, of course.
And then that kind of like gives you type of say like I was in a room with a new play development. I mean, it's like basically a premiere of a new play that happened in some big regional theater company in Seoul, and it was a play. And then there's a multiple different version of the ending that was created because director was necessarily not approving. And it just becomes that at the end of the whole process, the playwright herself was kind of like, I have forgotten why I have written this play, the original intent.
Right.
I'm lost. I don't know which one. So okay, just pick whichever you want from all of this version, because I'm done with my own play. And she got fed up with her own script, and she needs to like regain the passion to enter her, to love her work again, so that she can literally like make certain decision that she feels like consented. But it was an interesting thing to see it, that it's just like literally like, oh my God, who owns the story, or what is the priority of the new play development, and what is the procedure, and what can be protected, who's making a decision, and why is that a place? It's not necessarily settled. And so meaning, I think first and foremost, working in Korea makes me realize I really need a good people around me. I mean, that probably speaks, true to anyone, everywhere I go. But the experience that you get, it really differs from whether you are surrounded yourself with the like-minded people who will take your consent really important and priority. So every time, if you're like, say, like Haejung, she got an award and she has to work with this assigned director, that is not of her choice. Like sometimes I can see that can go to south. In her work, like experience of things is gonna be like, there's already a structure of a power existing. I have to like fit into it because my script is being assigned to this director. Basically cast it into that, and that's a little bit of a I think that's a high stake situation that I'm sure that probably happens in some commercial industry or film places like in US, but I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm just basically a negotiator between this. Yeah.
I mean, we are talking about nuances, right? So, we just got to do so. Just again, everyone, hello, everyone who is joining us this morning, in the United States East Coast time. It is 6:30 in the morning. We are well into our 16th hour of our 30-hour Stream-a-thon. So thank you for joining us here. If you are enjoying our discussion, please text adventure to 56651. That's adventure to 56651. We are, I believe it said 83,000 in our fundraising. So we are our goal is to hit 100,000. So we'd love it if you can pitch in. We are in a great discussion about many ways the differences between the theater companies and the way theater protects, supports, and works with playwrights, and localizers in musicals and theater that is different or similar to the United States. So I guess it just depends on the approach. That for me, when I'm working with a writer, I think what I see a lot of times with artistic directors is that they first look at it as a director. And so they talk to the playwright as a director, as if they're going to take it and direct the piece. And that's actually not the way I approach it. My approach is as, what is the story what is it about the story that I really like, that I think should be presented? And so once I understand that kernel, then I'm like, oh, you know what? Then this is exactly what we want or we need. This story, this specific idea, now we need to develop it. And once it comes to the development process for me, I actually don't even participate in that part. I actually hand it off to a dramaturg who will work. And my job is just to be part of the process, just to step in and go, okay, and ask the questions. Hey, so why is this here? So we discussed earlier why we first fell in love with your piece and your story, that it was about this. So it feels like it's morphed or changed. Can you tell me why? What is it about this change that you love so much? And the very detailed daily work is happening between the dramaturg, who oddly enough, a true dramaturg, what a lot of folks really how the original intent of dramaturgs when it was first developed is that they're there to protect the playwright. Their actual job is just to protect the playwright and the playwright's story, because they know that there's gonna be all these other people talking to them, you know, of directors and producers, and trying to get a piece and throwing out like 5 or 6 different endings. And so their job is to just help collect all these different ideas and different voices and say, here, this is where everybody is talking about this. Let's lay it out there, and then take it from the writer's perspective and protect them and show them what are the different options so that they still have a clear idea of what they're creating, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not the story that I'm not taking a story to make it what I want out of it. My job actually as an artistic director is to get the best story that they're trying to give me, right? So I feel like there are still intentions wise, people are still trying to do that in Korea. Now, but that's not the structure though, right? Is it still very much like personality or individual person driven?
I guess that really depends, but it's like sometimes there are what I experience, like from my experience, there's a lot of power struggle, of course, between the director and the producer. Mm-hmm. And those are the people who have the most power, I think. And then they fight. You just watch for a while and like, you guys done? And then you pitch in the right moment and say, I think this is a better idea. And sometimes, you know, anyway, what I'm trying to say is, of course, we're here in Korea, and the play scene or the musical theater scene it has a much more shorter history than other countries, at least the musical theater scene. And there are directors who are, I would say, old school, that have only did plays, and then they come over to the musical theater scene, and with the patriarchy and with the despot they try to exercise their powers through, you know, within the script. And I think it's what Haejung has experienced a lot, you know, they just try to rip your script apart, and they just want to recreate it into what they think it's the best for the script. And this is a very sensitive subject, but I'm going to say it anyway. There are a lot of female writers and a lot of female staffs here in Korea, and there are very, very little people, very few people make it to actually become the top writer or the top director or whatever, because it's so male dominant, as we all know. And these male dominant people are these, how would I say, typical Korean men, I would say. And then see these typical Korean men exercising their typical Korean patriarchy. What's the word? Anyway, I think that's also part of it's really it's blended into the culture, and it's blended into how, and we have these respect systems, right? We use respect words for the elders, and you know, the concepts are mixed up in between it. And then when that happens, you're like, okay, he's my elder, I think I should respect him, but at the same time, he's not treating me right. We should have this concept of director and playwright, but it becomes older Korean guy and younger Korean woman. That hierarchy suddenly happens. It's very pervasive. That I could say it's very pervasive. So I think connecting this to what I said earlier, when that happens, you can't. The producers are older Korean men, the directors are older Korean men. Then as a also little Korean woman here, I'm gonna say this, you just have to find the right. This is kind of sad. This is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sad that I'm saying this, but you have to find the right way to make it work. You have to pick your battles. You have to find the strategy, and to just carry this thing in one piece, or else it's going to be ripped apart. People are going to try to take advantage of the situation, and people, as I said, just.
Oh, no.
It's okay.
No.
It's
The evil spirit has taken her. Yeah.
So Soovin, you froze for a second. So Yeah. So
Okay, where did I freeze?
about 5 seconds ago. So you're finishing up your last sentence.
Okay.
So just
Yeah.
give us redo the last sentence
Oh
for us
yeah.
again.
So yeah, just basically
You have to pick your
saying that
battle.
you got to pick your battles, and this is coming from real world. This is coming from the real world. I would love to say, just go and fight, but it's not like that always. You have to really read the nuances, and and you're the female. They're kind of, I don't know, adjusting and arranging things between you even sometimes have to arrange things between the producer and the director when that's actually not your role sometimes, but just because you're this younger Korean writer or younger Korean woman, the hierarchy, it pressures you to work that way. So therefore people would say, oh, she's smart, and she knows how to work with these big guys, so we'll work with her again. And I think that's a very pervasive thing that happens. And of course, I can't say that I haven't been doing that, because I want to work, I want a job. So I'm like, okay, you guys are fighting again, so what should I do in this situation? So yeah, so in Korea specifically, before you're respected as an individual writer or as an individual person, so to speak, you have this cultural weight around you that you just have naturally. You're born with it, you're used to it, and you're kind of, I don't want to use this word, but you kind of know when to cower suddenly, and then you suddenly kind of adjust to that, and then you know that you shouldn't be doing this, but you're scared, and you're wired that way in a way from a very young age. So I constantly try to monitor myself and think, okay, what are you doing right now, Soovin? Are you cowering? Are you scared? Are you really talking about the piece, or are you just scared of the people talking to you like that? So that's another that's a backstage battle, if so to speak, right? Outside of the actual play or outside of the actual creation, politics. Yeah, I would say.
I'm really sorry.
Nah.
Well, I am sorry. There's a reason why there is two Koreas. There is a reason. There's also a reason. I all I can say is I do have to apologize for a lot of the very Korean maleness that happens. So I am sorry. I wish that things were different, but sadly, it's not. It sounds like.
Well, yeah. Well, it's still what it is, and especially I think the directors, especially I guess Haejung worked with one. I'm sure the guy who told Haejung that had the courage to blatantly say, "I don't like your play." I guess that's all coming from that. It partly has that. So we're trying to find ourselves at the same time. We're trying to find these elder men with dignity, but that's a battle itself, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is there a lot more female writers, and
Sure.
so is the dynamic and female writers and male directors? Is that the dynamic mostly?
I think that's a lot of time. I've seen a lot of pair. I mean, there are good dynamics with a male director and female writer. There are many good combos working like that. I mean, that's great. They're doing great job. That's fine. But there are also people like, oh, the director should be a guy. I mean, it should be a male person, a male. And the writer, I guess, to work with a male director, it would be better to have a nice female writer. So put them together and let's see what happens. I saw a lot of that. Yeah. In my experience, I mean, I could say for myself that, yeah.
So have any of you worked with a female director?
I have.
We have.
I have once. Yeah.
Was it a Korean female, or is it a
Korean female directors? Yeah.
I've worked with a let's say it's twice, because one time it was a overseas female director, and one time it was a Korean assistant director who had to take over the director's spot because the actual director was not able to come to Korea due to COVID. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Haejung?
I had like twice.
Did you feel like it was any different with the female director?
Well, like one of like any different. Actually, no. But like once we were like no, like but we were talking about like all the female directors here in South Korea. They look like they kind of like shows like their toughness, like I don't know, like toughness.
Yeah, they had to be as masculine as the man.
Yeah. Like we don't know why, but like it's kind of how they survive in the field. Like, like not. I'm not telling you like everybody, but like most of them is like they cut like short hair, like I don't know, like they don't act like how to say, like they don't act like it's a bit difficult.
Hide their femininity.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like they have to fight with the actors, like with who are like male actors, like, you know.
Yeah.
Also like all the stage managers, and then also like stage directors, like.
Well, it's interesting because like I would say probably our most preeminent female Broadway director who that's not a musical is actually Anna Shapiro, who is female.
Oh.
She's probably one of our like if you want a Tony Award and see a fantastic play, that's who you want, which is so interesting and different because she created a career totally on her own and forged a path as a female director through Steppenwolf. But it wasn't like, you know, she just magically appeared and they anointed her as the king of Steppenwolf. Like, she worked, and so she developed her skill sets and then really started winning awards. But I will also say that the female presence in theaters in the United States are still very small. It's still very male dominated.
Right, of course.
So I don't think it's necessarily that different than Korea. And look, we're trying to solve a lot of problems as it is now. Like, we're barely getting through what we call Black, Indigenous, people of color issues with we see a white theater. You know, we're having our own internal issues. So I'm not necessarily saying that the theater and the way we develop theater is better. I think what is interesting about this discussion is the difference. But it sounds like is that there's a huge cultural difference, and that is pervasive in the way we deal with artists in Korea that is uniquely cultural. Am I correct in saying that?
I believe so.
I would definitely say, yeah.
Yeah. Because when I'm talking to, like, when I'm negotiating with people in Korea, I actually tell them we have to negotiate in English. Because people pull the, like, what year are you born, and try to pull the wrong thing all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So they make you do the whole thing, and then you're drinking, and all of a sudden, like, you got to do the honorifics, and so I didn't realize it when I was doing it at first, because my Korean isn't that great anyway, but it's good enough so that they'll do it until I started hearing, like, oh, I see what's going on here. They're doing a power play.
Right.
This is a power play. And so after my first meeting, I just leaned over and said, from now on, it's English only. And they just looked at me like, what? But you're Korean. Yes, that's why I want it to be English only. Because I'm actually Korean American, not Korean.
Right.
Yeah. So when with because the two of you are on new, with your new musical Soovin and Haejung, like you're constantly creating. I remember one of our discussions, Haejung, yours that and Jihye, like playwrights have to constantly create new work, like literally all the time. So I'm curious because Soovin, you've been developing a musical for like 4 years, and actually, musicals like even Hamilton took 7 years to go from initial concept to idea. So musicals do take a much longer time.
Right.
But I'm curious what's the difference between like the development process for you, Soovin, and Haejung's development process, because it feels like Haejung's process is like on speed. But not because you want it to be on speed, like, and not just speed, like on super crack. Like you are on this massive amount of like, you have to create like 2 or 3 plays a year.
No.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's what you have to do, right?
Oh, okay.
While so I'm curious for you, Soovin, how when you as you're developing musical, because it is your own musical, right? You're working with a composer.
Yeah, I'm working with a Broadway-based composer called. His name is Jason Holland. He's a conductor slash.
Oh, but he's not Korean.
He's not Korean.
Okay, that makes a difference, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It does. It does.
So, wow, that's actually interesting because you have all these connections from the musical theater world anyway, coming to the United States. I mean, coming from the United States to Korea. So how did that happen then? How did that part?
Well, it's just as many occasions are. It was really random. It was really, really random. One of my friends, Frank Wildhorn, who wrote Jekyll and Hyde, is one of my friends, and he's a fun guy. He's a very outgoing, fun, easygoing guy, and because he composed Jekyll and Hyde, and of course Jekyll and Hyde is doing really well here in Korea. A lot of his shows were opened here, and because I translated his stuff, we got it to talk. We started to talk, and we were talking about ideas, and then.
By the way, his agent is my agent.
Oh, really?
Small
You guys
world.
have the same agent.
Yeah, Penny, who is his agent, has kept trying to get me to like do something in Korea. I'm like, really? Like, just I could out of nowhere, I could just do something in Korea. Is that what you're thinking, Penny? Like, well, Frank Wildhorn does it, and I'm like, really, Penny? That's Frank Wildhorn. Give me a break. So anyway, continue. Sorry, apologies.
Well, I'll skip the middle of it. But anyway, Jason was Frank's arranger slash.
Oh.
Yeah, so they work together like that. So he arranges a lot of Frank's stuff, and we got to work on this project really just by an accident, and it's about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I adapted Jules Verne's piece, and I totally recreated it. I got the idea from that and recreated it, and I'm calling it Captain Nemo for now. And we worked on it for like 4 or 5 years now, and it was just really random. I mean, you just get to know people and say, we were working on this piece. You want to do it, and then it just goes from there. So that's how I got to work on that, and because. And the company that I work with a lot is the company that has the rights for Jekyll and Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to him and say, you know what, I have a script. You want to look at it? And just from there, it just kind of, he said, the boss of that company said, okay, let's take a look at it and let's try to just develop it. And that's how it worked out for me with that piece. Yeah. Yeah.
That it does help to have somebody who is not Korean as your partner.
Well, I think that's not necessary. Maybe was it the case? Let me think about it. For that show, I'm not sure if it was because it was necessarily because I had someone not non-Korean, or it just the piece itself appealed to him. I'm not quite sure with that, but I might ask him at some point. It just happens so randomly and so under the water. It's still under the water still because it's not happening yet. But for me, I guess being really honest, because I worked on a lot of bigger shows here, like to create the Korean Broadway, to translate those big shows here into Korea, I guess I had connections from that. I had the reputation from that, so people think, oh, she's a good translator. Maybe she'll write good stuff too, like her own. She'll be good at writing her own stuff. So,
yeah, so let me be clear to all the people who are watching. Soovin has won multiple awards and has localized multiple, not like one or two. Like she has years of history of localizing, incredibly successful. So she's made a lot of money for people.
Oh, really? I did.
Oh,
I guess I did. I didn't make money for myself, but I guess I did make people a lot of money.
You made people a lot of money.
Okay,
and
That's true. That's really true.
That's the thing that people forget is that.
Can I make a lot of money too out of doing this job? Can I make some money too?
That'd be a utopia. I would love to be there for that.
I would love to make a lot of money out of doing this.
But the thing is, as a creator, you have more ownership, and especially because part of it isn't necessarily that like your linkage to this person, their name isn't what gave you the connection. It's that the laws that protect this person in the United States follows this creator with you. And so there's something that happens there that gives you some protection, is what I meant. So there's nothing about necessarily like, because I almost bet you it was because you brought the idea to them is why it was purchased or taken up. But what I think what helps is that you do have that because of the connection to someone whose work is tied to the laws within the United States, which is protective. Right. It actually allows you some more ownership. And so one of the things that Haejung and I were talking about is how do I help her protect her writing so that there's some attachment to the United States. And so we're trying to figure that out. Like I'd love to be able to help her so that everything that she writes either kind of goes through something that happens here in the United States, so that by the time it gets back to the Korea and they start mucking with it, even though you still have to sue them for it, there's international laws that protect her state, her script. Right? Because the other thing too is the idea is there's a lot of these scripts. I know like Netflix and Amazon has made a huge difference in the way people create them. And Netflix and Amazon, they don't like it when there's potential lawsuits or somebody has ownership or something. They hate it. So if they took Haejung's script and they did the play, but they totally mucked with her piece, but Netflix wanted to buy from the basis of her original script, they'll go. And then if Haejung says no, I'm not going to give it away because it's attached to these people who messed up my play, Netflix will go, wait, what's going on? And we'll dump those people who brought the play and say, but why am I talking to them? Haejung is the one that owns the rights.
Right.
It's her play.
Right.
So that's the thing. What I feel like, at least digitally, these big companies, because they're international, they have to abide by international rules. And they don't like arguments.
Right.
That they would rather not have to deal with these little things.
Right.
And so it's better. Like what I feel like it's doing is at least helping or at least setting the stage for people who are creating the stories, right? Because the WGA in the United States, the Writers Guild, which does a lot of the writing for all these digital things, they're incredibly well protected. And they make a lot of money because they own the rights to their material.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but I for me, I don't. This is a secret. I don't even have a contract yet. I'm gonna disappear out of the frame for like 2 seconds, and I'm back.
And I'm gonna knock some wood for you.
Okay.
For your contract in the future.
Wow, am I allowed to say these things? It's just that the things that happen,
I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. I have nothing to say, but like, I'm sorry. I've been there. It's yes.
Well, it's this is how hard it is to actually bring up the subject, and like I'm more on the side of, okay, thank you for letting me work, thank you for developing my work. I won't talk about contracts yet because I don't think it's the right time, or I don't think I should be grateful for what I have up till now. Okay, I think I'm talking too much about my personal things.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble either, but
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. There's a philosophical thing that I'm trying to create over at Adventure that in many ways is very different, in that what we're looking for is two things that we want to provide our artists: is transparency, so that people understand the process. So and then fair ownership. Right. So at the end of the day, when a writer or any creative person who has a story, when they come to us, we want to have fair ownership. In other words, like, we want to have a piece of it, just enough because we're helping develop this piece. Most of the time when we're developing something, we actually spend a lot of capital and money and stuff like that. But we want to have fair percentage, not all of it. It's not my story. It's the writer's story. It's their story. They have full ownership. We just want a little small percentage so that it is equal to the amount of time that we put into it, right? And then the other part is transparency, which is we talk about these things from the very beginning. Because I have different templates for commissioning. We have digital commissions, which are just short. We just want to hear it. We don't want to. We're not quite ready to make a full commitment, but we do. We're interested, so that's it, right? However, we don't. That contract is very simple. We don't own anything. You're just letting us rent it for that one time, right? And if all of a sudden, if it gets a lot of buzz and people take it and we didn't make that commitment, it's our mistake, right? If somebody just plucks it out from us, that's our mistake. We missed out on that opportunity. But that's because we were being cautious. And you know what? Fair. That is totally fair. And however, we also have like these commission contracts where it's like, you know what? We really believe in this work. Even if it's like they don't even have a script. We're just like, I love your idea. We're going to commission it. We have a little more faith from the writer. And my job isn't to say, okay, now go and write and come back with something perfect and I'm going to change whatever I want. No, it's actually, the first thing I do is I give them a dramaturg. So my dramaturg, who's with our team, immediately from that, once that commission is created, now is working hand in hand with someone with them to partner up and give their story life. And again, their mandate from Adventure is your job as a dramaturg, which is the traditional dramaturg, is to protect the playwright and protect the play. So those are two simple things that we try to institute within our system. And I find that actually doesn't exist in a lot of places, even in the United States, by the way. However, this whole idea of faith and promises really scare me.
Well, if I just add to that, I'm just trying to picking up what I just said, picking up after what I said. Faith and promises, that's a very important concept that I'm constantly thinking about. But I guess I'm just speaking for myself. That I worked with this company for such a long time that sometimes it's just hard to talk about things. And sometimes you just trust them in a way, and sometimes it's all in that weird area, and for me personally, I'm just correcting things. I'm not being ripped off. I don't feel like I'm being compromised yet. I'm just not sure about anything. And maybe I guess there are procedures that would have been better taken earlier, but I'm in a place where I'm just kind of, okay, it's fine. It's okay. I'll deal with it like that. But personally, with that company, I'm not being treated badly. So
Right, you're not afraid. You're not
I'm
afraid.
not afraid. I mean, with this particular company, I'm not afraid. Of course, with other people, maybe I would have been more afraid, and I would have been more cautious. But this company, I worked a long time, so I guess it's for me. This place is the place that I kind of feel safe. I guess as a as a little person I am. So just wanted to
I love how you say you're a little person, but you're not.
Well,
I want to let me be clear. When I got both Haejung and Soovin's resume, I was like, they're gonna spend time with me? Why? Why do you want to? Why were they willing to come and talk to me? Because honestly, like we're a large company here in the United States, but we're not really well known in Korea. And there's a reason for you to want to spend time with me. So part of this is I'm just really happy and thank you for spending time with me, because the two of you are actually. Like, let's be for real here. All of you who are watching, these three are legit. They are legit in Korea. These are like Haejung's writing is really fun. I got to read one piece that was translated by Jihye, of a piece that was like, wow, can there be more stuff happening in this play? And Soovin's resume is like, holy cow.
Wow.
So I want to be clear. I want to be very clear to anybody who's listening, who's watching, and hopefully some folks in Korea are watching. These three are legit. So if you have them working for you, they're talented people who have done a lot of stuff. So all of you out there in Korea, hire these three because they're amazing. And if you're men, get out of their way. If you're Korean men, get out of their way, because more likely you are making it worse. So get out of the way, let them do their job, and just take what they give you. So I just want to say that. The other thing is I do need to do the plug, because we're like this hour just went by like that. I do need to plug. Please text adventure to 56651. That's 56651 in the United States. So if you have a US phone, 56651. I don't know what the Korean digits are if you want to do it. So just go to the website if you wanted to donate. We have conversations like this all the time. And this happened to be incredibly international. So please donate if you can. We are in the 17th hour of our 30-hour Stream-a-thon. These amazingly talented ladies from Korea are keeping my sorry old butt awake. So thank you for this delightful conversation. So going back, now, the interesting thing about all three of you is that your resumes are really, really deep. And yet it still feels like that dynamic is that it still doesn't give you a position of power, which is very interesting.
Can I just drop this one thing that I work in US and I work in Seoul, mostly in theater side, not musical theater side, but play, theater, ensemble devising side. And I learned recently that in Korea, if you're under 40, you're still young and emerging artist. It's like it's not until you reach the 40, like people still call you like, oh, you're so young and you're still like your youth. And I'm like, thank you. Like, is that a good thing? And also that is used to delegitimize your talent, because you're still up and coming, so they don't look at your work as a complete or a work that is has some sense of like a ownership or masterpiece of your own. So that I found it really interesting and shocking. People look at me with such kind of so young, you still have a lot of time to do something that is interesting. It's kind of like, thank you. It's
like they're
really
virtually grabbing your cheeks and going, oh,
but that it's not only that, but the application for certain application you can apply as a residency. The age limits are for if you're 40 in if you reach 40, you can't apply to this application because you're no longer new and emerging. There's a lot of age limit to that, and I found it really surprising. 40, thank you. In question mark, sure. And then there's a lot of people who just turned 40 and 41, and I kind of feel a little bit I'm still, I guess, am I like, like, then what am I? Like, I don't have the opportunity to apply to that sort of like a fellowship or residency or like a grant anymore because I'm not young and up and coming or early career anymore. Then what do I do? Like, then do I get some sort of like a mastery of my own work because I just reached 40? So that something like that, I found it really interesting, which just pushes a lot of, I don't know. I think there's some connection between until you're 40, your work is not taken seriously necessarily because you still have a like decade to develop your experience, and it's not until you earn those experience enough to ferment your work to the masterpiece. So that's just some impression that I got, that it was like interesting with this, even with our resume, our age, sometimes our age or our generation or are given like a identity of being female, being under 40, is taken a little more seriously than what resume says about our experience.
Yeah, I mean, because the three of you, I mean, look at my gray hair. See that? Yeah, don't even pretend, Soovin, please.
No, I was just saying my hair is greasy. I didn't say it's gray. It's just greasy. It's just shiny.
But the three of you, and part of that too is our genes, our Korean genes. Is that the three of you look very young, but I guess age is always used either as a baton or as a bat against your head or a carrot. Like it's never. It's either a carrot to pull you out. Or a bat to hit you over the head with. And it's hard for me because I don't experience what the three of you experience. In part because I am the firstborn son of my generation. So I literally levitate. Like for all of you out there, as the firstborn son, the entire generation comes and talks to me when there's a problem. Like that's the rules. I don't know who wrote the rules. And honestly, there's a period of time in my life where if they came and talked to me, I probably was the wrong person to come and talk to because I was a disaster. So think about it. Just because of position in my age, like I was given a lot of things, and I have lots of privilege, right? As a Korean man, and I know that gift that my parents gave me as a Korean man, even though I was in a country that really didn't respect Korean men, like think about it. I still felt like I could just run into the woods and become an artistic director in art with the gift of possibility, right? And so it's really, in my head, it's really hard to connect the same issues that the three of you deal with, merely for the fact that I am a straight Korean male. That, think about it, I was an artistic director at 28 of a major theater company at 28. And I was Asian on top of that. So it's like, how did that happen? But I also know that there were talented female Asian directors and stuff and who could have also been artistic directors at the same time I was artistic director at my age. But I know they weren't given that same, I didn't realize it then, but now that I look back, I realized they weren't given the same opportunities because they look younger and they're female. And, I've heard all the excuses. So with that being said, right, help me understand. Teach this old straight Korean idiot. Like, what the heck? Like, what do I need to learn to make sure that I keep an environment that is safe for all of you? And how do I help you?
Soovin, you want to go first?
Do you want to have listen? Do you want to hear from
as a
I've been
creator?
talking a lot. Yeah, I've been talking a lot, right?
Or Haejung, you want to go? Like you want to?
How do I protect you, Haejung? How do I help you as the power structure, right? How do I help you? What is it I can do to make sure that your voice is always heard? What do I need to do? You're looking loud like no one's ever asked me that question. Is that is that correct?
Yeah.
Ugh. That makes me sad, by the way. That makes me really sad.
Well, I guess like Haejung, you want to take some time or yeah, sure. I think Chil, you're doing the best. Like as far as I know, like from my little experience, bring all three of us together like this, and to like always like referring to your privilege, and I have more things to learn. Referring to those type of an element, and keeping that sort of like stake low, to help us just being outspoken, being ridiculous and funny, like speaking out of our like experience and challenges and difficulties, really difficult things that I don't think we would feel comfortable speaking about the same element in Korean with a fellow Korean men in Korea. I think this sort of like environment itself that we have poured our gut and challenges and difficulty and personal like stories over here itself proves that you're doing the best that you can do. So that's just how I would just put it. And if you just continue to have this sort of like experiences for more or female artists from not only Korea, but like from many other countries with this sort of like power structure existing, I think that might also be helpful. And I'm just hoping that this sort of like more opportunity for Soovin and Haejung, to actually not only just to have this sort of like a talk about this issue, but also be able to collaborate, to have an actual opportunity to show us snippets of their work, to have a taste to meet a different audience, that sort of opportunity itself. I think that would be like, I mean, more than fantastic, but I'm speaking in an ideal term, and I know there's a lot of structural stuff has to be in place. So now I'm tossing the like that to like either Soovin or Haejung. I'm done. So you guys can, yeah, you want to go?
No.
what I appreciate about it, Haejung, is that I see the machinations happening behind your eyes. I see the things happening, and I will fully admit part of this too is trust, right? So and thank you for even giving me some of the trust that you've given. So I don't expect this answer in any way. Like I don't. Like what I feel like is that Chinese chest behind you is very representative of the way you process, and that story is that you do take ideas and lock it in that chest, and maybe you'll open it up and like somebody will see the little crack inside. But that's okay. Like it takes time, and we've only had 2 meetings, right? So I don't expect an answer. But what I appreciate about, and what's so funny, it's like Soovin is the complete opposite in that it's like there's no chest. It's just all out here. It's just all in front of you, and I appreciate that. So I love watching the two extremes within the two of you as writers, and then Jihye, who's like this perfect kind of like way of like translating these things together for me in my head. So this is like a really interesting casting thing that's happened within this group, right? Again, when I say that, I'm not expecting an answer or a full statement. What I would appreciate though is that as later on, Haejung, when you do have an idea of something where you think I can, or there may be ways that I can help you, please email me. So I want that to be clear. And if there's any ways that I can help any of you, let me know. I will gladly take the time, because you have been so generous with your time with me. So thank you for that. Time is precious, right? So, so we have an update. I guess more people have been donating. So we're at 83,000. So we made another
Yay.
1,000 or something like that.
Whoa!
So thank you all for donating. Yay! Woohoo! Woohoo! And this is despite the Han. What is it? The Han? Is it what is the Korean dollar? Won. The won.
One.
One.
Oh, and I just got corrected with my pronunciation. I know my Korean's terrible. My Korean is very gyeongseong-do. I know it's super super country. It's so country that ajimas would stop and go, "Oh, that's cute." That's how country my southern accent is. So we definitely, the four of us need to hang out more, and I can't wait to come to Korea. We'll just go out, drink, and have a good time. So thank you all. We've actually been, like I said, like we've done a lot more. Even with I think the won is the dollar to won is still skewed to the American dollar. So thank you all for every one of you who've donated. Thank you. Would the three of you, is there anything like you just kind of would like to last statements or something you want to say before we kind of wrap it up?
Can it be like really random?
Sure. I love random. Let's do random because we've been very serious.
We've been
Oh,
like
yeah.
really serious.
Really
yeah.
serious.
So
We've been
serious.
so serious. We've been talking about our rights, and we've been talking about these, like, we got to protect ourselves. We got to be strong people. And I'm like, I'm not that strong person you want me to be. I'm not that strong. I'm scared. I'm like, and then I think I think I talk too much, and then like, I should have been like Haejung. I should have just been like more cautious. And I feel like I talk too much, and then I'm looking at my greasy hair now.
Not that people are watching me anyway. It's like, so you're okay. But anyway, what's your random thought?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think that I've been constantly thinking that Chil's been like, flattering us, saying like, for me as for me, like, oh, you have this long resume, but to be honest, it really doesn't matter. Why I say this is every day. I mean, you're self-employed and you're a freelancer, and you just have to. If you don't have the next gig, I mean, you don't have the next gig. That's it. And when you said, why would you want to come out and hang out with you here? And you know why? Because it's fun. It's just like, it's nice to talk, and it's just nice to chat with you. And I think Jihye said earlier about how you make people, you just make people comfortable to talk about what they want to talk about. And I think when you're doing collaboration, that's all it's about. You just let people talk and talk about stupid things. You just come up with random ideas, like just me just randomly talking and still looking at my shiny hair.
Wait, wasn't it, weren't you saying greasy last time?
I mean, it's shiny because it's greasy. It's greasy and shiny. It's nice.
Pay attention. I know the word that you used. You didn't say shiny. You said greasy.
I know. Oh my god! Now you're accusing me. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go sleep now. This has been too much.
No. You can't sleep. I'm staying awake. You can't sleep.
Well, anyway, it's just. I think it's really nice to just talk about just random stuff, to talk about deep stuff, lighter stuff, and just talk, because the theater scene here, I mean, it's not as bad as it is in the States, I think, because it's still going on, though it's slow. It's still going on. We have like 50% seats, like 30% seats. Still, it's there. It's glimmering. It's not like we don't have this big flame, but it's still there. But to just randomly talk about things, that itself, I think it was the most creative thing I did recently. I think, aside from taking care of my kid and looking at how high the Bitcoin prices rise, I'm like looking at it. I'm like, wow, Bitcoin is going up.
Bitcoin?
No, I'm not. I'm just looking at it. I'm just looking at the people who have desires.
No,
I'm not doing it. I'm just saying. I was just looking at it, and I'm like, wow. I sometimes just look at it. It just goes up, and then it comes down, and it goes up again, and you just look at it, and sometimes you say like, oh, the people who bought that and when it was very cheap, what are they doing right now? and you just drift. So that was my most creative thing I was doing today. So aside from that
makes me very happy that I am part of a very creative day for you.
Yes, this is one of the most creative things I've actually done in a very long time. So why, if you ask why are you talking with you, I think I would say because it's just fun.
Well, good. We got to do this more regularly. We should schedule something else. I'd love to see it. No, but not live. We can have even more private conversations and not live and just be us.
Yeah.
But what about you, Haejung? Any last statements?
It was really fun, like to get to know you, Chil, and Soovin also. And then I was a bit tired of like after all the COVID-19 period, like after a full year, I'm a bit tired. I was a bit tired of like talking about like all this kind of situation, but then at the end, like I'm really, really excited to talk. Yeah, so like, and then like I was really happy to listen, like how you feel from different countries, different fields, like makes me really
well, yeah, you and your Brazil flag back there. Did you notice, Suva, the and Jihye and I were talking about her Brazil, like she hasn't visited Brazil yet. You haven't, right? But that's where you want to go. Like you have some kind of connection. I love that. I love that.
That's awesome.
That's her vision board. Her wall behind her.
Yeah, that's her vision board. That's awesome. That's totally awesome.
What's great is that the board behind her is a chest that she hides stuff in and the map of Brazil.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm gonna slowly coax you out of that cabinet. Slowly, Hedger. I'm gonna get you out of there. But again, like I have really enjoyed this time. And Jihye, like it's amazing how quickly we connected, you and I. Yeah. So I just want to thank you for sharing, because these are your friends or people that you've connected to. So really, like bringing me into your world. I also want to make sure that I mentioned that's a gift to me, because it's hard. Even though we are in a field of trust, right? In theater, the idea is that we're cooperating and trusting each other all the time. Trust is still very hard to give. So I appreciate it. I think we're gonna bring back Leon, because we're starting to close out this. You all have been an amazing. I knew that's the thing is our producer was like, "Hey, so do you think you can probably do another half hour? Do you think you'll need it?" And I said, "Oh yeah, we can definitely talk like 2 hours if we could." He was like, "You can't have an hour and a half. You can't have 2 hours. Well, I'll give you an hour and a half." So I appreciate that my producers for this gave us the extra time to just sit down and talk. I do want to come back and talk to you all again. So I'd love to schedule something maybe in a month to say hi. So thank you again for sharing this time with me. This is Leon, my executive director, who I've given a lot of trust to and who's given me back a tremendous amount of trust. And so I am lucky in that I got to choose my theater company. And
we're lucky that you chose us.
Thank you. So and again, for the three of you, it comes from a lot of privilege, right? It comes from this place where I felt like I could demand this, and that I could actually ask for this, and felt like I had the power to ask for it. And so, almost fresh out of coming back from film and TV, I'm back here being an artistic director. So, that takes gumption, right? That takes kind of privilege. So I want to thank, again, the three of you. I'm looking forward to more conversations with y'all. Yeah. And I can't wait to hear what happens. We got to get more detail. Like we're going to write it like it's a K-drama about how this comes to life. And the mysteries that will come out of the Chinese cabinet behind Haejung. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hope you're not burning anything, though, Haejung. Please. That's actually in our play. I hope you're not burning anything down. So, Leon, I think you have some information for us, and then just say thank you.
Yep, we're at $83,000, just past the $83,000 mark. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Got 17,000 left to go, and we've got some hours left. I do want to throw out that I was getting messages from some of my friends in Israel who are really appreciating this conversation. So like this is truly an international hour going on here.
Ooh, I would love to hear what they were saying.
They were just impressed, the honesty and the comfort in the room and people sharing their truths. They were just really appreciative of that.
Yeah. It's the kimchi. I don't know what I'm talking about. We are literally flying by the seat of our pants. I am in a 17.5-hour mark. So I'm if I make it through the next 4 hours, I'll be happy. But please, Soovin and Haejung and Jihye, please tell everybody that if they all want to watch, come and join us. We have cats coming, like not Cats the musical, but actual cats.
Actual cats.
I don't quite understand it, but I've seen the videos. They're super cute, and people love cats on the internet. So I don't know. So please,
Haejung Kim story time. I think it is.
Yes, it's awesome and strange all at the same time. So, so please tell everybody. And again, thank you for having us.
I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye.
All right. So now I need your help.
Rejuvenated you.
I knew it would. That's also partly why we did this, is that we're so very happy to have them here. And again, these are like, they're no joke. Like, you look at their resume, I'm like, why are you getting problems? Like, with your resumes, you would be commissioned like crazy over here in the United States. So it's just weird. But anyway, I need your help with transitioning us into Anna Oropeza reading story segment. I think that's what next, right? Yes. Anna
and Paty, I think.
Yeah, Anna and Paty reads us a story. There are three videos. Yes, thank you, Kirsten. Hey, so you're awake, Kirsten. I forgot I saw you at the beginning of this.
She got a nice break. She got to go home, I think.
Hey, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of y'all with your nice breaks. I don't want to hear it. Okay, so yeah. 4 hours of sleep. All of y'all. Okay, so let's pull up the next video. Thank you. I think there's a lead in, so go ahead and start. And another call. Play the video. Text adventure to 56651.
Hola de nuevo, amiguitos. Hoy estuvimos hablando sobre los seres vivos en el libro de Cacho. ¿Y qué creen? Paty tiene una mascota. Se llama Cleo.
Diles, Cleo, diles, hola, yo soy muy feliz aquí porque hago lo que se me da la gana. Diles.
¿Cuántos años tienes, Cleo, Paty?
Cleo ha de tener como 4 años, porque la adopté y cuando la adopté tenía entre 2 y 3 años. Eso fue lo que me dijeron. Pero ahora de tener, ya tengo 2 años con ella, de tener como llegando a los 5 años.
Wow, Cleo ya es un poco mayor.
Ya es una niña grande.
Sí. Qué maravilla con Cleo.
Sí.
¿Duerme bien, Cleo?
Duerme muchísimo durante el día y juega toda la noche. Va a nuestro cuarto, nos brinca encima a mi esposo y a mí y luego se regresa al piso de abajo y corretea por todos lados con sus juguetes y su comida. Así que muy traviesa, Cleo.
¿Todos los días come?
Todos los días come, pero lo importante aquí es que si algún día no come tu pet, no importa. Mientras tome agua, eso es lo más importante.
Y bueno, yo tengo un tipo diferente de mascota. Van a decir, esta mascota tan rara tiene Ana. En realidad es mi mascota porque la cuido, le doy de comer, trato de que no se enferme. Si ven ustedes, por ejemplo, aquí tiene unas hojitas lastimadas, pero ya las nuevas están saliendo muy lindas. Y esta mascota es especial para mí porque es un ser vivo, como ya vimos, y es un ser vivo que yo ayudé a nacer. Si ustedes conocen los chicharitos verdes, las alvejas le llaman en algunas partes, compré unos y venía con un poquitito de raíz. Entonces decidí ponerlos en un algodoncito con agua y salieron estas pequeñas plantas. Las cuido mucho. Espero que le lleguen a crecer muy grandes. Es invierno, es difícil en el invierno aquí en Washington. Ustedes saben, acaba de nevar. Y esperemos que en cuanto empiece la primavera pueda sembrar mis chícharos en el jardín y tengamos una planta grande de chícharos. Así que ya lo saben, las mascotas no necesariamente son perros, gatos, peces, tortugas. También pueden escoger una linda planta y que sea su mascota. O ustedes pueden ayudar a que una planta nazca y después cuidarla siempre con mucho cariño porque está viva.
Exacto.
Esperemos que hayan aprendido mucho esta vez sobre cómo hacer los postres de limón y sobre los seres vivos.
Y cómo cuidarlos. Hay que tener mucho cuidado con ellos. ¿Ok? Bueno, adiós.
Nos vemos pronto.
All right. That was nice. Again, we are here. We're fundraising. Good morning for those of you who actually went to bed last night. Not chill. So if you are able, please make a donation by texting adventure to 56651. We're not done with Patty and Anna. I believe Patty's going to make us a dessert next.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So whenever that video,
because I was like, oh, we forgot to say, hey, by the way, these segments are in Spanish. So for all of you, these segments are in Spanish. So thank you for our Spanish-speaking community who's coming out to listen to us. Apologies that we do not speak Spanish. It is very early for a lot of our folks on Eastern time. So we weren't able to get someone who could also help us through this process. But again, thank you all for being here. And let's get the video up. This is a dessert in Spanish.
Hola, amiguitos. Qué gusto verlos de nuevo. Ana Sofi, Tete, Lorenzo, Sebastián, Diego. Sé que todos están por ahí, me da muchísimo gusto verlos. Ahora vamos a leer otro libro. Como saben, Cacho se la pasa haciendo preguntas. Y esta vez llegó con su mamá con una nueva pregunta que yo creo que es una pregunta que ustedes se han hecho. O a lo mejor no se han hecho la pregunta como tal, pero estoy segura que han observado cosas que Cacho ha observado. Y la pregunta dice así. Vamos a ver cómo está en el libro. Mamá, ¿qué son los seres vivos? Esta vez la pregunta es pequeña, pero su respuesta es grande. Me gustaría tu ayuda para responderte. A ver, Cacho, ¿cuáles seres vivos conoces? A todas las mamás nos pasa que a veces una pregunta pequeñita que hacen los hijos la tenemos que contestar de una manera muy grande. Seguramente ustedes se acuerdan de cuando su mamá les tiene que decir muchas cosas para poder explicar algo que aparentemente es pequeñito. Y esta vez la mamá le pidió ayuda a Cacho. Y Cacho responde sobre cuántos seres vivos conoce. Yo conozco a mi perro, a los peces, a los elefantes, a los pájaros, a las moscas, a las arañas, las ballenas, a los delfines y a todos los animales que vemos en el zoológico o en la televisión. Muy bien, hijo, pero estoy segura de que conoces muchos más. ¿Recuerdas el otro día cuando te enfermaste? El doctor dijo que había unos microbios en tu garganta y los microbios también están vivos. Eso es increíble, ¿no? Pensar que cuando estamos enfermitos lo que está pasando es que hay un mini bichito dentro de la garganta, pero que ese bicho está vivo y que por eso nos dan antibióticos. Eso es increíble, ¿no? La respuesta sigue. También las plantas son seres vivos. Ahora mismo le estoy poniendo agua a esta, pues la necesita para poder seguir viviendo. Piensa en todos los seres vivos que mencionamos. Como puedes darte cuenta, los seres vivos somos mucho más de los que pensabas. Por ejemplo, tú, yo y el resto de las personas también somos seres vivos. Observar a los seres vivos es muy interesante. Siempre es fabuloso aprender los detalles maravillosos de otras formas de vida. Vamos a detenernos aquí un poquito porque yo estoy seguro que ustedes han visto las moscas, o han visto las abejas, o han visto los caracoles. Estoy segura que han visto a su hermana y estoy segura que han visto un gato, un perro. ¿Se han fijado dónde tienen los ojos? ¿Se han fijado cómo son los ojos de cada uno? Las moscas, por ejemplo, tienen muchos ojitos dentro de su ojo grande. Los caracoles parece que tienen antenas y en la punta de las antenas tienen los ojos. Las personas tenemos los ojos enfrente, pero si ustedes han visto un elefante, los elefantes tienen los ojos a los lados. Es muy interesante fijarnos bien en detalles. La mamá le sigue contestando. Por ejemplo, las plantas, aunque están vivas, no pueden caminar de un lugar a otro. Esto nos permite ver cambios en ellas constantemente. ¿Qué es más fácil ver? ¿Un perro que sale corriendo, un pájaro que se va volando o una planta? Afortunadamente las plantas no tienen pies y gracias a esa podemos ver lentamente los cambios que tienen. Si somos cuidadosos al observar a los seres vivos, descubriremos el ciclo de la vida. ¿Cuál es el ciclo de la vida? Aquí, por ejemplo, hay una rana. La rana pone huevitos, los huevitos sale un pequeño animalito, conocido como ajolote, el cual lentamente va creciendo y se convierte en una rana. Ese es el ciclo de la vida. Yo entendí el ciclo de la vida viendo crecer un árbol de duraznos. Todo empezó con los ricos duraznos que compré en el mercado. Ese día, al verlos tan bonitos, pensé que siendo tan bonitos, después de comérselos, ya no quedaría nada de ellos y me dio tristeza. ¿Nunca les ha pasado que cuando ven una manzana dicen, ups, me la voy a comer y ya no va a quedar manzana? O cuando ven una galleta dicen, ups, me la voy a comer y se quedan sin galleta. Eso es lo que estaba pasando en mi cabeza cuando vi esos duraznos. Vamos a ver qué pasó después. Tu hermana se apresuró a comer uno, dejando la semilla bien limpia. Tanto le gustó que decidió sembrarla. La puso dentro de un bote con tierra y la regaba con frecuencia. ¿Qué pasaría con esa semilla de durazno que puso en la tierra? Vamos a ver qué fue lo que pasó. Después de varias semanas en el bote, aparecieron las primeras hojas. El jardinero nos dijo que eran las hojas de un árbol de duraznos. Ese invierno, con preocupación, vimos caerse las hojas, pero en cuanto llegó la primavera, otras hojitas empezaron a crecer y entonces decidimos sembrar el pequeño árbol en el jardín. Esto fue real y la verdad que estábamos muy asustados cuando vimos que se caían las hojas del árbol. Dijimos, ya se está muriendo, ya se está muriendo. Pero en cuanto lo pusimos en la tierra, empezó a reverdecer y a salir hojitas en la primavera. Vamos a ver qué pasó después. Solo fueron necesarios 3 años para ver aparecer en la primavera unas lindas flores rosas que finalmente se convirtieron en duraznos. Increíble, ¿no? A mí que me daba pena comerme el durazno porque me iba a quedar sin los duraznos, al haber sembrado ese duraznito en la tierra y dejarlo crecer, ahora no era solamente un durazno, ahora eran muchos duraznos. Y por eso termina la mamá explicándole a Cacho. Hoy cuando me siento bajo la sombra del árbol, al estirar mi brazo para arrancar un rico durazno, no puedo evitar pensar en los seres vivos y sonreír.
That was a lovely story.
Yeah, I love that book, and apologies to all. We got the order mixed up. I did, so apologies. But I will excuse my scrambled brain and these, what is now my 17th and a half hour being awake. So this next segment is actually the cooking segment. So again, apologies to all. This next segment is the cooking segment. Again, this is also all in Spanish. So thank you all who are tuning in who speak Spanish. So hopefully, I think I got this right. It is the cooking segment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cooking.
That's
So let's go ahead and roll the video. And here we go. And remember, text adventure to 56651. That's 56651. Text adventure.
Hola, queridos niños, niñas. Soy Paty otra vez. Les voy a enseñar un postre de limón con leche condensada, con crema, limón y galletas Marías. Eso es todo. Es facilísimo, facilísimo de hacer. ¿Qué vamos a hacer primero? Primero, acuérdense, hay que lavar siempre las manos. Ya las tengo lavadas. Hay que lavar las frutas y verduras que vayas a usar. En este caso, ya lavé el limón. ¿Ok? Primero, abrimos nuestra leche condensada. La vaciamos en el bowl, ¿sí? Hay que vaciar lo más que podamos porque entre más pongamos la leche, pues más postre tenemos, ¿verdad? Ahora, de esta misma medida, vamos a rellenarlo de crema. Es crema agria, es normal. ¿Ok? ¿Sí? Vamos a rellenarlo porque necesitamos la misma medida de crema. ¿Ok? Este postre, quiero decirles que en las casas de México, yo soy de México, en las casas de México, todo el mundo, o sea, todos lo han probado. Es un postre que se hace muy seguido en nuestro país. ¿Ok? Entonces ahora le ponemos la crema. ¿Se fijaron que es la misma medida? Lo rellené. ¿Ok? Ahora vamos a usar de limón dos partes. Una es la ralladura de limón. Solamente lo vamos a hacer así. Asegúrense que sea solamente lo verde. No nos vayamos a lo blanco que hay debajo, porque eso es muy amargo. Y solo queremos el sabor. Cuando era chica, yo hacía este postre para invitar a mis amigas a la casa. ¿Ok? Ya tenemos suficiente ralladura. Ahora lo vamos a partir. Vaciamos el jugo. Ok. Y nos queda todo el jugo. Muy bien. Ahora, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Solo vamos a mezclarlo. Es muy fácil. ¿Sí? ¿Se fijan? Ya quedó. Eso es todo lo que hay que hacer. Esa es la base de nuestro postre. ¿Ok? Muy bien. Ahora, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Vamos a usar nuestras galletas. Vamos a poner un piso. Uy, están rotas. Uy, están muy rotas. Bueno, no importa, porque usamos otro paquete. Da lo mismo si están rotas o no, porque la verdad, lo vamos a poner solamente de piso. ¿Se fijan? Ok, mira, vamos a usar las rotas. Ok, vamos a usar las rotas y vamos a ponerlas en los huequitos. ¿Sí? Ok, muy bien. Ahora empezamos a vertir nuestro relleno. Se mueve un poquito, no hay problema. La verdad es que es tan fácil como esto, miren. Así, rellenamos. Ponemos otra base de nuestro postre. Miren, hasta los rotos nos van a servir. Sí. Ok. Ponemos otra parte de nuestro postre y lo esparcimos muy bien para que cubra toda la galleta. ¿Sí? Acá tenemos otro paquete de galletas. Tenemos la opción de chocolate también, ¿eh? Esta galleta, de la marca Goya, tiene también de parte de chocolate. Ustedes tienen la opción, si quieren, también lo pueden hacer de chocolate. Como ustedes quieran. ¿Ok? Sí. Limpio la mesa. Ok. Rotas. Ok. Y le vaciamos la última parte de nuestra base del postre, ¿sí? Ok. Hice un tiradero aquí, pero ahorita lo limpio. No hay problema. Ok. Esto tiene que ir al refrigerador, pero les voy a enseñar todavía un tip nada más. Le rayamos galleta encima para que quede más bonito todavía. ¿Sí? Ok, muy bien. Y lo vamos a tapar. Déjenme limpiar la mesa porque se está quedando muy sucia. Ok. Lo vamos a tapar con plástico. Ok. Muy bien tapado para que no le caigan otros olores en el refrigerador. ¿Ok? y lo metemos al refrigerador, ¿ok? Ahí no hay lugar. Entonces, lo metemos al refrigerador y magia. Aquí está el que yo hice ayer. Para que vean cómo quedó. Miren. ¿Se fijan cómo endureció? Así. Sacamos una parte. Miren. Uy, el relleno es el más delicioso. ¿Ok? Miren. Qué delicia. Es buenísimo. Pruébenlo. Y me cuentan qué piensan del postre. Gracias, corazones. Nos vemos a la próxima. Bye, bye.
Hello, everybody. So that was, let's see, just let me make sure that I have this right. That is Patty makes a sweet snack. And so she made us something really cool. So thank you all for joining us. That was our Spanish segment this morning. We wanted to have a wonderful way for our Spanish-speaking community to say hello this morning to our live feed as part of our 30-hour Stream-a-thon. So thank you all for coming and joining us today, this morning. We are well into our 17th hour. We are going to be doing our handoff to our 18th hour of this 30-hour Stream-a-thon. So thank you all for joining us. I also want to thank the support of our amazing team here. There are 4 other people here, two here and then 2 offsite, who's making this happen, as well as our producer who is in Los Angeles making all the phone calls. So so there's an amazing team who's making this all happen. So thank all of you. We are basically on the other side of half of this. So we're getting there. We're getting there. It is now going to be 8 a.m. in Eastern time. So I want to thank all of y'all who've been joining us. Again, we would appreciate if you donated. Please donate. Text adventure to 56651. That's adventure to 56651, or go to atmtc.org. And it'll direct you right to the donate site. That's atmtc.org. So I hope you donate. Thank you all for joining us today. We have our numbers are still growing. We've actually had donations during what I thought was going to be kind of the lowest block, but we had some lovely conversations, including our friends over in Korea, and I apologize for some of the folks who are from Israel and who are in other regions who loved our conversation that was happening with the Korean theater stars. I wish I could have gotten to those questions, but I didn't see them, and that's my fault. So thank you all for joining us. I am going to now, let's see, just to make sure that I'm seeing seeing any posts. So thank you all. I'm slowly kind of getting back to some of the scrolling and looking at some of the Facebook posts. So thank you all who are reposting us and putting your materials on social media. We really would appreciate it if you send it out some more. Again, text adventure to 56651. And we are going to go away so that we can do the handoff for the next 8-hour block. You're not going to see me at the top of that because I'm going to go take a bathroom break and breakfast and eat a little bit. But I will see you pretty much later into that hour. So bye.